Okay, welcome back everyone. So today or tonight, it's actually late where I'm at. I'm gonna try to walk you through customizing your MDT, your deployment workbench. So we've already built it out, and now we're going to try to work on some customization to give you a zero touch or a light touch feeling towards deploying your images. Okay, so in the past videos we installed MDT and configured it, and then we did a test image. It was successful. Now we're going to customize your custom strings so that you can pretty much press F12 and just walk away and have your machine built out for you. So let's get started. So let's bring up our Hyper-V box real quick, and I need to find my MDT. So let's get into my MDT, and then I need also my domain controller. All right, so what I did, just so you track it, to make things flow a little bit easier, on my domain controller, I have a OU called uSystems. So when you deploy anything or when new machines are built out, they will come inside of this structure. So as an administrator, you're trying to keep things clean. All new systems will come into new systems, and then it's going to filter itself out. That's the plan based on the category of what it is. All right. So VMs, servers, laptops, desktop, and if it doesn't know what it is, it's going to put it inside UNK, which is for unknown devices, right? So that's how I have my domain controller set up. These are basically the OU structures for everything that I need for your string. You will need to know how to do these. So for your laptops, OU, you just go to properties and then attribute editor, and it's right there. So you want to get the distinguished name so you can apply that to your custom string for MDT. So now let's go over to MDT and let's fire up our workbench. So before we were working on our workbench and we had everything set up, and as you can see, if I go to monitoring, because it was on the last computer that we did was PC04, and it deployed successfully. You can see completed. It took 7 minutes and 49 seconds to actually completely build this computer. So that's not too bad. So you can see it's working, right? We had 1 errors and 0 warnings. And one of the good things about monitoring is because you have this, you can go back and remote desktop, VM into it, and all that good stuff. All right. Okay, so what we needed to do now, we want to go into looking up our rules. So when you look under rules, this is your custom settings. These are all the rules that your box will follow in order to deploy the systems. And remember when I ran the shortcuts, which is right here, it follows these rules. So basically everything that's right here is going to follow it. Now right here you see edit bootstrap. It's another set of rules as well that it will also follow, right? And you will see that this is set as well to point it to the right direction, which is the location of our deployment share, okay, which is right there. Now what we need to do, we're going to run through these steps so I can show you what it looks like. I have some strings that I already put right here, but I commented out with a question sign so that it doesn't take effect until I move it. So let's start off with the beginning so we can see what it looks like, and then we'll close it out and run it again. All right, so first part we need to fix is the login piece. So when you go ahead, and this is simulating a new machine. Once it runs, as you can see, it will populate, and we're waiting for it to come up. Did it disappear? Where did it go? All right, so as you can see right here, now once it starts, it is the first thing it's asking you for is credentials, right? All of these credentials, username, password, and the domain. When you look at the bootstrap right here, this is basically because these are missing. So the user domain, which is right here, will fill itself in right here. The user ID will be the username. The password, right, will be the password that's right here. And then we're going to tell it to skip the welcome, which is right here. So that means you want to skip it. So we're going to cancel this out, right? And what we're going to do, we're going to comment these out so it actually knows that it needs to apply these settings. I'm not going to skip it yet because I want it to take effect. So we add these principles to your bootstrap, and this is customizing the first phase of it. So right here we need to save, right? Save your bootstrap. The good thing about this, once you save this, it automatically takes it. So you don't have to really do a full update on your deployment. You don't have to really go and do a full update because this is just saving the file, so you can edit this as much as possible. Now let's go back and run it back. Click yes. And what we're looking for now is filling out all the information that generally you needed that we didn't have. So notice now that it didn't ask for the login information, right? It didn't ask for who we are for the domain, the user to log in as, and the password, because all of that in the beginning, once we commented out, it was right here. See, so that's how you'll take care of that. So it's light touch, right? And then we can skip that piece as well, right? So basically that fixed that, and that's good to go. Now we need to work on this piece. So as you can see, task sequence is going to ask you to select a task sequence, and you have to select something. Go down the line again, computer name, the domain. It knows the domain right there. It knows the domain to join because we filled in the information earlier. The username, it took it. The password is already here, and then the domain is already here. So we're not joining a work group, we're joining a domain. So this is why all of this is already set, right? Now the organizational unit is something that is not set right now. So we're going to try to go ahead and fix most of this. And we're going to try to do step by step. I want you guys to actually see what's happening while we do it. So you just don't copy a script and not know what's happening in the back end. So organizational unit is which is the OU right here. Okay, so normally right here you can do, what I like about this is that you can do F5 right during the process and it should take it. So let's go into my deployment share, and now we're going to open up my custom settings. Okay, now inside of my custom settings, these are all the default settings that came with it, and we're trying to fix a lot of this right here. So the OU right here, I'm just going to go ahead and move this down, and I'm going to start. On my desktop I already have a whole bunch of scripts that we've been playing with. So this was for the bootstrap, we fixed that, so we're going to move down. All right, so if we went to the machine OU, where if it's going through and looking at it, by default right here, install yes, skip this will be yes. The machine OU that is asking for would be right here. Okay, so this will be what it's asking for. Copy this over, and we're just going to put it in. right? And we're going to click save. Now let's go back and refresh. So the OU is still missing because this is a part of joining the domain. So let's go back over here. All of this is probably basically what we need to capture. Right there. Save. Let's see if it wanted this inside of the main script. Hold on. I've never had to add this inside of the Bootstrap before, so I don't think. All right, so we're going to cancel this out. And let's double check it again. It should populate the information that we're looking for. Click that. Okay, there you go. So you needed to restart it in order for it to take effect. Okay, so as you can see, it's not taking it from here. Obviously, these two don't really matter over here. So we can save this, close the Bootstrap, and then cancel this right here, and then go back and run it. There you go. So it's not taking it from the Bootstrap. It's actually taking it from the control, the custom settings that we set up here. Right. So this means that this is good to go. So on the first screen, you can see that the information is being filled in as needed. Right. So it take the domain, took the OU, username, all of this. It will not do a work group because it's already joining the domain. And now the computer name, we can fix that easily. So over here, we just finished copying these. All right. So what we would need to do, we need to find a computer name that it's looking for, right? So let's go back to my script, and basically it's going to tell, I'm going to tell it what's the computer name we should give it. All right. And this is basically based on certain settings. So right here, this is all of this information. Copy this, put it up here. So I'm telling it now, this is OSD computer name. This is what I want to give it. The machine OU will be there. And then this will be just basic. The org name is basically when you start building out, it's going to show you the organization name, and then also the package is what type of package you're building. So we're going to go ahead and click save on here, and then we're going to cancel this, and then we're going to start again. And then let's go ahead and did I click save? Make sure I save this first. All right, see what names are populate now. So based on what you're telling it, OSD computer name, it should start with CHL. right? And then the computer type, whatever. But you won't see computer type yet because I haven't added those properties yet, because I'm just jumping around to actually show you. So it might also trigger an error as well. So see right there. So CHL, it populated CHL like I was showing you right here. But then it's now saying CHL computer type name computer serial number. So it's trying to find what I'm talking about, but because I haven't identified those properties yet, that's why it's triggering this, that is maximum of 15 characters. So that's something you have to play with to know. Okay, so let's cancel that out. So you can see in real time, this is how you're telling the information, you're telling it what it needs to do. Now, let's go back up here and how I have my script written out. So basically by settings, I'm going to go by property, right? And inside of the priority, I'm doing int, which is initialization. So this is basically the first set of strings that it needs. So earlier when it was looking for the information right here, it couldn't find it because I didn't identify on the property on this over here how it would work. Okay, so since I'm going to start from the top, I'm going to go ahead and copy this settings right here of how I'm going to be identifying this. So rename this. Right, and then int computer name. So let's go over this real quick. I'm gonna show you guys how I broke this down before we get to the default. All right, so looking at this, the way I have this out, so the settings under here is going to search or install by the initialization, which is giving it the information that it needs right here. So basically, it's going to look for a computer serial number from left, and then it's going to give me 7 numbers. With the 7 numbers, it's going to add it based on the type of device it is, if it's a server, desktop, or whatever. So this is why it says right here, it's going to go by server, by desktop, by laptop. If it's a virtual machine, then it's going to search for gateway. All right, so easy way to realize this. If it's a server, the subsection says server equals server. So that's basically saying if it is a server, right, apply the computer type equal S. So that means the computer serial number plus S. This is us building our naming convention, plus the 7 serial number plus the 7. So we'll identify, okay, what it is. And then if it is a server, we want to put it in this OU for servers, which is right there. Same thing if it's a desktop, give it a D and put it in the desktop's OU. Laptop, same thing. If it's a laptop, it will be an L, and we're going to put it in the OU right here. If it is a virtual machine, right, and the factor is true, put it in the VMs and then give it a V plus the serial number. If none of these are true and he goes through and he can't find it, we're going to go by gateway, the default gateway now. So I have them set up by the hub. Right now I'm building out the first lab, which is 16.1.1, and I'm just preparing this for when we need to build out my other VCs. So New York will be 2.1, California will be 3.1, and Florida will be 4.1. So once these are identified by the gateway, once these gateways are identified later, and I'm trying to build a box, it will also push your computers. It will image them. If it can't find them by this, it will image them and give them a gateway settings by this. Now, if it realizes that this computer belongs to Hawaii from this gateway, it's going to go ahead and re-image it as Hawaii, and it's going to start out with HON. And then it's going to put it in the Hawaii time zone, which is right there. Same thing for New York. We're going to give it a New York time zone. California will get Pacific, and then Arizona will use US Mountain Time. These are so many different ways you can set this up. I like to set mine up like this for my build, so you have flexibility. You don't have to do it this way. This is a little bit more complex, but I want to show you so many different ways that you can bypass all of this and just go with the default, put it in, and you're good to go. But we can play around, and you can contact me if you choose to, and we can play around and find different custom strings. You can select different custom strings as well, and just update the custom settings as needed, right? And then once all is done, you go by the default, right? And then under the default, all the other settings will apply coming down here, right? So as you can see, this is what the default will look like. So since I've already identified the OSD name and the serial number, right? Now I want to go ahead and save this real quick. And let's test it now to see if it picks up the CHL that I was trying to give it initially. Let's see if it's correct. It will find the name. So as you can see, it's processing the rules right there. See? So there we go. We skip that. And then now it's saying 15 characters. So this would be a D. So it's saying that this is a desktop. So as you can see, it says CHL. And then it picked this up as a D. And then it's going to give it a long, all of these characters is what it would give it. So if you look at the string, let's see where we at. CHL, and then it found it, the computer name right there, and then dash the computer serial number. Now when we went up here and we passed this and the initialization, we're saying the computer serial number, which is computer serial number right here. When we pass the string up here, computer serial number, we're saying equal left and then 7. So let's try to go right. And let's do maximum 9. Save. Cancel. And then let's go again. And as you can see, once you set these rules up, it's going to process it by the way you have it set, which is some of the cool things of how you can just go through and customize this the way you want it. All right, so you see changes from D, from that to right. See that? The only thing about this though is showing that this number would be really, really long. So the £, the serial number, it would be custom serial number equal right, and then the serial number, it would just be probably too much. So I might have to fix that one real quick. So let's go ahead and let me find that one. All right guys, so I am back, and I think I realized one of the issues. So if you take a look at this real quick, I'm going to show you guys how specific this thing needs to be. And it's not specific, you just got to pay attention to little things. So if you look at this, it says computer serial number, right? Okay, so initially this is the code that I have that I'm transferring over. If you go to the top and you look at it, you will see, okay, this is what I'm working with right here. Okay, so this is fine, there's nothing wrong with it. It's going to give the serial number 7 or whatever you choose, 5, 9, whatever. Okay, now if you go back to the one that I'm working on right there, right here, I just made some changes to it. You can see that when you copy, the quotations needs to be this right here, and not this. So I've pointed this out before in one of my videos. This is a deadly quotation. It will mess things up for you. And this is why it was triggering that error earlier, because when it looked for the numbers, it was actually doing left, and then it would find the computer type, but then it was adding all of this. Instead of finding the serial number, it was adding like serial number actually to it, right? And that's because it couldn't read this because of that right there. So just pay attention when you're writing out your custom settings. If you're having errors, please check your quotations right there. Make sure they look like this. That is how they're supposed to look. And I know, because I'm going through a whole bunch of code and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I fix these. But you can always do a control find. And then anything that looks like this, you can always go here and do a replace. And you can replace that with the right one. And you can fix it. Okay. So, yeah. All right, so I'm going to save this. And then let's now test to see if it goes away. So it should now not give that error that we were having anymore. It should actually pick up your computer name that we're looking for. And like I said, I want to walk you guys through the steps. You need to see how this is operating when you're going to do a zero touch. All right, see, there you go. So this will see it picked up the name. So CHL, which is going to be Chief Home Lab. That's how I had it designed. So this is why it's picking it up like that, right? Based on the settings that I gave it down here, the OSD name, it says Chief Home Lab dash the computer type name, which it got from up here when it ran the script. Right, it picked it up and said this is a desktop, which yes, I am on a desktop working. And so Chief Home Lab dash D, right, and then dash right there, if you can see. So where are we at? Chief Home Lab dash the computer type name, which was D, then dash again, which is perfect. And then we're looking for the computer serial number, right? Which it will produce, pulling it from the BIOS right there. And we ask for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we ask for 7 based on my initial request. Or was it 9? So 7 plus the 2, 1, 2. So those 2 dashes actually count. So 9, we requested 9 numbers and whatever you want to call those. So the dashes are also included in the name. So this is how this computer would come over, and it would put it in the unknown right here, because that's how it would pick it up, right? So as you can see, now we can move to the next step. So the next step is asking for a computer backup. Where do you want to save a backup of this computer? Now we're saying we don't want to see this, right? We don't want to have to do anything with this. So in your custom.ini folder, right there, when we're working with it, now how do we get rid of the backup? Too easy. You want to add the codes for that. So we're down here now, and the backup is next. So all you have to do is go to where it says skip backup. So we're down here, right? So backup, BitLocker, skip backup, skip computer backup, right there, copy. That will be the next one. Skip computer backup, yes. Do backup? No, we don't want to do no backup. So there's another piece where it says, okay, no capture. So we're not there yet. So we're going to skip computer backup because we don't want to back up anything, right? So we're going to go back and save this. And let's go back and run it again. So now that we're skipping that, we should not see anything asking us about backup because we said nope, we're skipping it. So right here, we're going to click that. That's the task sequence. Next, found the name, still easy, right? Now we're going to click next. Now, do not backup is still showing. We did ask it, skip computer backup. We said yes. Okay, so do not backup the existing computer. I said skip computer backup. What else did we miss out of that part? Name, don't skip the name. Time zone. Skip computer backup, yes. Okay, so let's add BitLocker as well to it. Maybe it didn't take earlier, so let's go ahead and save this. Close this out. I do have multiple running here. I need to close these out. I just saw that I have a whole bunch of files. Same thing running here. So let's see if backup still shows up. Still shows up right there. And that's probably because of the old ones. It's still picking up. Yeah, so let's cancel this. Yes. Cancel that. See, I have all these old ones right there. I need to close those out. Okay. Still see backup, so may have to. No backup should be found. So let's look at locality. We come back here. Okay, so here, right here, as you can see, everything here is set to US English and the time zone is Hawaii. In here, oh, I see what happened. First man takes precedence. So right here, when I said skip computer backup, because I didn't delete this earlier, it was there. Because I put it in here and it still showed up. So that's what it was, what was happening. Right? Yeah. So once we save this, we should be fine. The locale, which would be right here, this at the time preferences should be getting it from right here. So like Hawaii, because of the location, and English, we haven't put those part in yet, but we can go ahead and add that now to the list. So let's go over here and do skip locale right here. But I don't want to skip it. I want to fill it in. So computer backup was first. Let's go down here and then do the next screen. So I don't want to skip. I just want to make sure that I have this as, I'm going to put this as a no. And then we're going to click save. So anything that's up here, remove it. We're not working with it right now. So that we don't have anything more confusing. So we did skip backup already, so we should not see backup again. Okay, so we don't want to see anything but backup. Let's close this out. I was wondering what was going on too. All right, so let's go here. Open, and this is why it's good to start off with a clean script. Good, no backup showed up, so we got rid of backup. And that's what I'm saying. We're going through and we're going to pencil out each of these so you can see what it looks like in the back end. All right, so name filled in, good to go. Locale filled in, but the language didn't come up. So what is the language over here? Oh, we forgot. No, oh, that's why EB should be EN. So it didn't pick up the language because it didn't know what language I'm asking it for. See? So this is why you gotta check your codes, because when you run it through one by one, it will tell you my time is gonna be US, which is right here. Keyboard layout, I want to use the US keyboard layout. And then the time zone that I'm working on is in Hawaii because I requested that time zone, right? So yeah, so that was one of the problems. So save that again, cancel, get out of it. And then now let's add our time zone. So locale, time zone. I don't want to skip it, not yet. We want to run through, make sure that everything is filled in properly. And then this is how you will get to see what your light touch looks like, or your zero touch later. Okay, so we're going to select that one image. Everything else is still good over on this end. Okay, see? So now English is good. Format is good. And now we click here. So we're now on applications, right? Applications come after this step. By default, you can select an application if you want to, or you can do what's called mandatory applications. How do you find this? Well, if you always want Adobe to be installed without having to check this, you can do a mandatory installation where it's going to auto check it for you, so you can skip this during this install steps and make sure that all your mandatory apps will always be installed throughout the whole process. No matter what type of deployment, these are your mandatory apps, which makes sense, like Adobe Reader, Java, maybe Microsoft Office, Microsoft Teams if your company wants it, whatever those Internet Explorer, well, that's out, maybe Chrome, Firefox, whatever default or whatever mandatory applications that all your systems should have, maybe like a VPN application or whatever, you can add them to your mandatory applications. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the check mark to this so you can see it. So before we skip anything, you will see how everything is mandatory check. So let's click cancel because we're working in applications. Yeah. All right. So how you do that, you need to find a string first. You need to go to applications, and under Adobe, we're going to work with Adobe. You need to go to Adobe and go to properties. This is what we're working with. The application GUID is what you will need right here. You need to copy that and then cancel. And then once you copy that, we're going to paste this in here because we're going to use it again. And then we're going to go to applications. So I have this already done out. So right here where it says skip applications, I'm going to say no for now. right? And then mandatory application 001. You're just going to name it from 1 to whatever. And then we're going to add this GUID in it right there. So this is going to be the first one that you'll check. We'll go ahead and fire this up and click save. And then now when you go back in, you should see a check mark. You should see a check mark inside of the Adobe stating that this is a mandatory application, and by default it's checked, so it will always install for you on your deployment share. Okay, those are still good. Everything in here is still good. Now there you go. So now you see this. When you're skipping your applications, basically you're telling it, skip the screen because I don't want to see it, because all of the mandatory applications that I need to be installed, they're going to be installed with this image anyways. Okay, so as you can see, you have your mandatory applications, you got your locale, you got the computer details, all of those are set. So since we have those, right, and those are good to go, we can now say skip applications. Well, I want to say, I don't want to do that one yet because that's the last one to do. We can do the time zone. We're going to skip the time zone now on the next iteration. And we're going to skip the locale so that we don't want to see those now since we already have those set, right? And yeah, so we can skip all of those right now and do another test. So let's close this out. So we're looking good. We're building out our script. We have things flowing right there. Okay, so we're still in our default. We're working through this. We know our names and everything is good to go. Join the domain right there. This is to test later after we have a box instead of skip the backup. We did that. Skip BitLocker, that's actually on the other end when we're doing a real PC. So we're testing now. Skip locale. Everything we know is going to be good to go because we tested it with our own eyes and we saw it. We're going to skip the time zone because we saw those. I didn't want to skip applications yet because that is like the last step before it goes into running Windows, and I don't want to try to restart and running it on here. So let's go ahead and click save and let's see how far this takes us. So it should be skipping now a lot of different steps all the way through. You should see less now on the left hand side than when we started. See, there you go. So the only thing that shows up is the task sequence. And then when we hit the task sequence, I'm going to show you how we can skip that as well. You're going to click next. And then computer details, we didn't skip this part yet. Right? So this is going to show up. And then applications will be the next one. That's right there. So task sequence, we're going to skip task sequence next. So let's go in here. Let's work on our script. And we did applications, so let's do task sequence now. So let's go back over here, task sequence, right there. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. If you know that this is the same task sequence as what you're going to be deploying out, then you can skip it as well. Right here, when you go through the task sequence, you need to get the task sequence ID right there. Right, that's where you'll find that. And then in order for you to have it skipped, you will put the ID right there. but we're going to select no because I want to show you what it looks like first. We're going to walk through the whole process. If you really want to skip the task sequence, you'll put a yes, and then it will select this as the default. The only problem with this though is that if you're doing different builds or different task sequence or different task sequence is going to push different images. So if you're not just doing a full Windows 10 blowout, then you might not want to skip your task sequence because that's going to like tell you Windows 10 for this one, you know, whatever. So there's certain things that you'll have to pay attention to. If you know you're doing like all of these machines today is Windows 11, then you can edit your script, skip it, put the one that you want to put in there, and then run all of the images through it, and you're good to go. But like, let's say you have multiple machines going on that day, you don't want to skip your task sequence because that's the one thing you want to pop up. So based on the machine that you're deploying, okay, this is going to be a Windows whatever, this is going to be whatever, you know what I mean? So pay attention to that. Go ahead and click save. You're going to run it again. And like I said, guys, I don't think I've seen anyone sit down and go through this. I had to figure this out literally on my own, and just reading, understanding, learning, and like you see how it's already checked for you, right? So that means you don't even have to worry about it because it's already checked. So we're going to cancel. Cancel. Okay. Okay. So now that we know that that works, we're going to skip the task sequence now. And we're going to say yes. So now, as you can see, your machine is, when we say zero touch, this is how it's going to process. Zero touch means it's going to, once you have all of the properties set properly, it's go down so the least amount of touch that you have to do until nothing is there. So right now, there's no task sequence. We already set the task sequence, right? So that is good to go. Now the computer details, we need to skip this part. So let's see what part I haven't played with yet. We did a task sequence. We're not going to do applications yet. All right, so let's start from the top. We did these locations, skip DBB welcome message. So and these will be for the next side. I want to show you guys how this works on the other end when we're deploying it. So OSInstall, always want to say yes. Skip capture, we'll leave that alone. Product key. Event service, we'll put at the bottom. Put that down there. All right, so this right here, we need to bring this guy over, and we're gonna skip DBB welcome message. I don't remember what the DBB welcome message was. What was it was BDD welcome message. What was that one again? So that was the credentials screen. I think that might be it, guys. I believe, let me see. I think that might be the screen that we're looking at. I believe so. Let's go ahead and save and see if we bypass it. Yeah, there's one screen that I don't remember. I think that might be it. It says computer details, but I don't know. No, so that's not it. That's something that. So this is the computer details screen right here, and we have up here when we join to the domain, the task sequence and everything. Right, so let's go through and see what else we put on. Skip user data. We need to add that over here too. That will be at the bottom. We'll put all that stuff at the bottom. Did we skip the admin password? It was up here. Skip admin password. Yes. Skip domain membership. Could be right here. Skip domain membership. Maybe yet. Let's see. Yeah, so skip the domain membership was one part of it. So you see that it took that piece out. So it's now the computer name is the next piece we need to skip. So the skip the domain membership was one piece, and then now we need to skip the computer name. So we need to find right there. There you go. So all of those work hand in hand. Skip the domain membership and skip the computer name should now completely hide this box. That's the domain membership and then the computer name. So let's cancel. Let's cancel. Oh man, I had so many open. Didn't even notice them. All right, so now, as you can see, we're working our script and it's good to go. Let's see how far it takes us now for zero touch. There we go. Skipped everything in the beginning. The only thing left now is applications, and once we do skip the application and it goes to ready, it's going to deploy. So I'm not going to run this anymore on this box because I don't want to wipe it out and I don't want this running on here. Now it's time for us to test the script on a brand new machine. So we can definitely say that we configured a lot of the main things on this side. Let's cancel this out. Click OK. And we have majority of this working now that we know. All right, so let's go back over here and we're going to go to Hyper-V, and I have a machine PC05 that I built out to test this. So let's test out PC05 and see how we're looking. Okay, so now there it goes, booting up from my light touch. And like I said, now we get to test to see how far it takes the deployment all the way through. So everything that we did earlier it should reflect now as on the image. This is as if we were going through. So right here, now this part, we have to fix this now on the screen because this is a welcome message. See where it says DBB welcome? Now this is the part where it should populate, because the DBB welcome I think belongs to the bootstrap right here. So this, skipping this, we need to reset because we don't want to see that no more. So now we're playing with this box, press enter again. So once that is saved, and this is what I'm saying, you can build out, you can play with this and build out your the goal is to build out your script to have it working for you. You'll just have to play with it. Okay, so DBB welcome didn't take on that side. It should have taken okay, there's something else that goes with it. So skip the DBB welcome, yes, on that side. Do I not have it on my side as well? I think so. Because this is before. Okay, so let's see what else we missed. Okay. Skip those, skip the computer. I'm pretty sure we, okay, let me check this one. Yeah, so I think one thing I noticed is that the skip DBB welcome needs to be in your custom INI settings. And then I think it also needs to be in your bootstrap INI. So this right here, and it needs to be in both places for this to not show up. So let's save here and let's save here. Let's do a test real quick. So let's go to reset. And let's see if that fixes the issue. It's funny little things that you come by and realize, don't know what happened. Okay, I need to close that out and all right. So we're back in. Let's see. Press enter to boot, booting up, testing this. And that if this that works, that's something that I really never paid attention to. I never even noticed as well that you have to put skip DBB in both places. No, that's not it. Let's see what else is the problem. Alright, so after going through all of these, deleting what I've used so far, there's only a few left that I haven't used. And I'm thinking it's skip deployment type. So let's copy, move this over here. And I think this, oh, got bit. I think skip deployment type may be it. because right here it's saying run the deployment wizard to install a new operating system. New operating system keyword, which could be the deployment type. So let's save this. And let's see if that's what actually resets. Let's see if that's actually what fixes this one. So we've been through almost all of these already, and it's good to like try to figure out where everything works at what level. So going through, trying to pencil out which pieces are which. So let's see if it skips that part. Nope, didn't skip that part. So skip deployment. Okay, so let's keep looking. All right, so after digging up some research, I realized that this culprit, even in the bootstrap, I've added some stuff, just thinking that is maybe it, and I've saved it. I'm going to close out. I need to generate a whole new file. So I'm going to update and click generate new boot images. Right. And then in the meantime, I'm going to go to my WDS and I'm going to go to boot. Where did it go? And I'm going to delete this one. And then I'm going to wait until this is finished. Once this is finished, it's going to generate a whole new set of boot files. That's going to include the settings that we have. I don't know, it's weird because everything else is taken. Well, according to most of the folks that had this error, they had to regenerate new boot files. So if you run into this problems, that might be the fix. So we're going to see. And this is what I said, we need to test these things. You got to test them and play with it to see how it goes. So I'm going to pause here and let this run, and then I'll be right back. All right, so the update is finished. It's finished generate. So let's go back to my WDS and we're going to add a new boot image, which will be the new right here. Just generated this one. So always in the boot. Let's add this to the share. And let's see if that actually fixes the issue. According to a lot of folks, that was the fix. So let's see. All right, let's go ahead and open up. And the moment of truth is upon us. Okay, so it did fix it. I am getting these arrows right here. So restarting and rebuilding the whole thing did actually fix the issues. And I have over here a fully blown setup. So I just need to clean this up a little bit more. So this was So this is basically when you go to login, you need to have a location where you can look at log entries. So I have this going into the deployment share and then logs, and then it's going to create a folder name based on the computer itself. The resolution was one of the pieces that we added. So this is the script for the resolution. Everything else is basically, the only thing that's left to do is change the applications. This is right here, right? So once we select this as yes, it should skip the applications and then go to ready. We skipped almost everything else, so it should be taken now. And everything looks fine for a touch-free deployment. So we're going to go ahead and select yes for this, and then we're going to update our share again, and then click save. There's nothing left over here that needs to come over. Okay, so don't save that. Bootstrap, and as you can see, now we have a fully customizable custom settings that we just played with just now, that will deploy your Windows all the way out based on the properties that we set, right? Applications, the sequence, everything, you name it, right? All right, so let's go ahead and save this, close, and then we're going to update our share settings again, and then we're going to go and do a full-blown test this time. Okay, so let me update the deployment share one more time, which is here, and then I'll be right back. All right, so if you're running if you're trying to do a deployment and this box pops up as well, so you get the script error. One of the fixes they said to do is on your deployment share, you want to run this code right here. So regedit, and then add this JS script replacement into your registry. I don't know why, but it's something with Windows 11 and the new WinPE. It's been giving issues. So if you do see this error, I've seen it a couple of times. You can just click OK. It doesn't really bother you, but it's weird. So I'm adding it on mine. You need to make sure you run it as an administrator. Go ahead, and it says completed successfully. That's the code right there. You can take note of it. And then I'm going to go ahead now and kill this box. And I'm going to start over and see if I see it again. If not, if it doesn't fix it, it's cool, because we're just testing this build anyway. So let's see how it goes. But now we should be doing a fully blown light touch deployment. It is 4:58, so let's see how long it's going to take. My monitor should show me right here what's going on. So it's going to show me, if you look at it, it will show you what computers are running. So the error still came back, not sure what it is, but I'm going to click. Okay, so all the details here are good to go. And now we can begin installing. So you see it's imaging this PC, whatever that is, that's the name of the computer. It says it's a desktop, and then that's the serial number. And then running the build, which is the WDS001, which is the actual name that we give it. See, it's doing the install right now, and we just want to see how fast it's going to run through. This right here is going to show us right there. It's showing us that it's installing the process, so you can see, you can monitor it and see how long it's going to take to do everything. This is one of the cool things about having monitoring on, because you can see literally the process of what's happening. I think I messed with it. It's about to crash probably. But yeah, it's pulling the information, going through. So let's go ahead and wait for it. It's at 50% right now. And it's moving pretty fast, so we'll be able to see all the way. On the custom settings, there's only one thing I noticed. You notice at the end it says begin. So we may have to look at what we have still turned on. We skipped user data. I think it would be this, skip final summary. That's probably what we needed to do. That was a summary. Yeah, because this is a summary and that was the final summary. So it's one of the summaries. So 97%, almost there. Let's run. Let's see how fast it's gonna take. All right, so it's running. I'm gonna pause here for a little bit because I can show you in real time how long it actually took to do the deployment. It's actually going pretty fast too. So all right, so we're in. It logged us in, and now we're gonna see. Watch it. Should be deploying Adobe, which was the mandatory application, so it should populate anytime soon here. And I'm kind of glad that this is all real time, so you get to see the deployment happen as we progress through these stages. There we go. So the mandatory app, Adobe Reader came in, was installed. And the build out seems to be good because now it should show our summary. There we go. And we had a successful deployment, 0 errors, 0 warnings, and this was the deployment summary. So when we go back to here and we looked at summary, skip summary, no, I think this is the summary piece that we don't want to skip because you want to see if you had any errors or whatever. Okay, so that means the last one was that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to. So this is successful. There's only one thing I'm gonna fix. I'm gonna try to see if we can fix the problem that we had. Well, it wasn't a problem, but that final summary. Let's test it to see if that was what it was. And I just want to see if it's gonna run through. So PC05, let's set it to boot from network. And then I'm gonna power this back on. And let's see if it takes it. Now it should, at this point, we're looking for it to skip that final step, which would be the final summary. And if it skips this step, that means now we have a full script. It's touch free from here. It should go all the way through and start the deployment process. So this error is still here. Okay, so let's try to fix this real quick. Let's see, something else is that's the only thing that's left, is to where you are. So everything else is good. Right here, skip. So let's see, I'm gonna check this real quick. All right, so I think I had it mixed up. So this final summary is the final deployment summary, where this is where I'll put that at no, and I'm gonna put this at the bottom right there, and then skip summary would be yes, and then that will be up here like that. So the final summary is when the computer creates the image and the full deployment, and then the summary is this piece. So that's basically how it should be. And I think everything is set for a full deployment. So now we should have a fully, completely touch-free, ready to go script to push out the deployment. So let's go ahead and save, and I'm going to kill this and let's start it again. And let's see. Once it starts, I'm not going to run it all the way through because we've already done that to test it. Now we're just finalizing the script to see if from here it should now go all the way through the end with everything that we have pushed out. And once that starts, guys, that's it. We would finally have a full-blown script that works. So this is just a regular, say, dirty environment. So normally what I could do here, I could do a shift F10, F8. So this is just saying yes. Basically, it's because I had a dirty environment, so it's just giving me a warning. So from here now, it should process everything through. Right, there we go. All our settings is going through. It's in, oh, there you go. So it skipped everything. Zero touch. We have a completely ready to go script. It's going to inject the drivers, do the operating system, clean it up, and everything to go. Guys, this is basically This is a good day for us. I know it's a long time, but here we are. We're good. If you like this video, please subscribe. Give me a check mark. Leave some comments and tell us what you loved about it, so we can, improve. Coming next, I'll be doing the customizing the task sequence. We're gonna go over a few things for that piece. But here you are. We have a script that's ready to go. If you need a copy, just go ahead and post it at a comment, and I'll be sure to give you exactly what we just covered right here. Until next time, guys, you guys have a good night or a good morning or a good day. Ciao.